Okay, so you wanted to deep dive into this thing in France about hijabs and school trips, right? It's all over the news, but I feel like we're only getting like the tip of the iceberg here.
Yeah, I mean, what we have are some news articles, but I pulled some deeper background too, because you really can't understand this without looking at the whole idea of secularism in France.
And that's like their big thing, right? Secularism.
Totally.
Well,
And this whole thing about hijabs is so interesting because it brings up these huge questions about like national identity, freedom of religion. I mean, all this from a piece of clothing, it's crazy.
yeah, so where do we even start? I mean, what exactly is causing all this controversy right now?
So basically, it started with France's interior minister, Gérald Darmanin. He's the one who kind of set this whole thing off.
How so?
Well, he said he wants to basically ban parents who wear hijabs from going on school trips with their kids.
Whoa, really? Like, totally ban them.
Yeah, his argument is that these trips are like an extension of the school itself, and there's already that law from 2004, the one that bans religious symbols in public
Oh,
schools.
right, I remember that.
Yeah,
But that's just in schools, right? Not everywhere.
exactly. Like large crosses, kippas, and yeah, hijabs, those are all banned, but only inside schools. It doesn't apply outside of school grounds.
So Darmanin is basically saying school trips are what, like schools outside the walls or something? But
Exactly.
hold on. Even that original law, it wasn't like super black and white, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The law uses this term conspicuous religious symbols, but that can be, pretty subjective.
So like what? A little cross necklace is fine, but if you're wearing a giant one, it's banned.
Yeah, something like that. And it's that whole gray area that's making this new debate even more, messy.
Because where do you draw the line, right?
Yeah.
And how do you even enforce that?
Exactly. And that's not even getting into all the pushback this proposal is getting.
Oh yeah, it's definitely causing a stir, to say the least.
Mm.
People are not happy about it.
It's being called discriminatory. People are saying it violates the right to religious freedom, especially for Muslim women.
And there are concerns that this could actually backfire on the French government,
Right.
right? I mean, that's what some of our sources are suggesting.
Oh, yeah. Some people are saying this could end up totally isolating French Muslims and create even more division in society.
Which is kind of ironic, right? Because the government is saying that this is all about protecting French values and national unity.
Right.
It seems like this is all happening within a much larger context, though, right? We need to talk about this whole idea of secularism in France. It's kind of their thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big deal there. Like
Mhm.
way back in 1905, they passed this law that officially separated church and state.
And that was a huge turning point, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And the goal was to create a truly neutral public space where everyone, no matter their religion, could feel like equal citizens. But like, how do you apply that to what people wear, like a hijab?
Right, that's where it gets tricky, right? Because at what point does enforcing secularism in public actually infringe on someone's personal religious expression?
Exactly. And that's a really big question here. Some critics are saying that by singling out the hijab while allowing other, maybe less visible religious symbols, it kind of exposes the double standard, right?
Yeah, it makes you think about what's really motivating this. Is it purely about religion? Or are there other things going on, like maybe some political agendas or something?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's definitely this fear of Islamic extremism in Europe that's been growing. And some people see the hijab as like, I don't know, a symbol of that, which is.
A huge generalization.
Right.
Not all Muslims are extremists.
Exactly. And that's just one layer. There's also this whole argument that this is actually about controlling women and their choices, but framing it as liberation.
Wow. It's a lot to unpack, huh?
It is, but it's important stuff.
Absolutely. It's definitely made me realize that this isn't just a French thing, This whole thing about individual freedom versus what the government can control, that's relevant everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's the takeaway here for me. Where do we draw the line? Can a government really dictate how someone expresses their faith? And if they do, what's the cost of that?
Heavy stuff. It's definitely given me a lot to think about, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's what these deep dives are all about, right? Giving you the background and the different perspectives so you can form your own informed opinion.
Totally. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Anytime.